Okay, I'm taking off this big bracket on the front. Looks like the camshaft is held in by a couple bolts that I took out. And this bracket has got a flat on the outside edge there of the engine. A little hard to see. And it's rounded on towards the center of the engine here. And the bolts that hold that in are a little bit longer than the ones that hold this plate around the bottom edge here. And this bracket here I loosened up so I can make sure, I want to make sure it was two pieces here, and it is. So this will come apart easily now. Okay, I have that front plate off now. One thing to note is that the stud that holds the tensioner you don't need to take that out. In fact, I think you'd ruin it if you tried. But the stud that was here, that holds the timing chain cover on kind of in the middle, that guy has to come out. And I put him right back in there just so I don't lose his position. So, on to the next part. Okay, distributor's out. That was really no problem at all. Just two nuts on studs on the block, and then this is the distributor shaft that I pulled out, and there's the hole where the distributor used to be. The rocker arm is off, and I have the push rods out and saved in the order they came out. Okay, the head is off. There's definitely a ridge in here. I can really feel it. There's the head. Pretty grimy. I don't know if they changed the oil on this thing very much. So on the head bolts, some of them, the studs, they came out. And so there's a diagram on the loosening sequence I use. And I just measured the length of them. Some are 5 inches, some are 5.5, some are 9. And then 5 of them stayed in the block, so I don't know how long those are yet. Okay, I've rotated the engine, got a little more coolant and oil out of it here. I'm going to take the oil pan off, and just to document, it looks like all the bolts are the same, nothing really special except for down here on the drain plug side of the pan. This little tab is to hold the oil tube, breather tube that I took out, and this one that's out a little ways, if I remember right, that holds the clutch slave cylinder support bracket. I'm a little worried about tipping it because I don't know if these cam followers on the underside come out from the top or bottom. I don't want them to fall out and lose their position, so I didn't turn it all the way upside down. I'll take it apart carefully to try to determine how those come out. Okay, oil pan is off. Not too much trouble, that's why it leaks so bad. Pretty bad in there for cleanliness. It looks almost as grimy as the outside of the engine. All the bolts were the same length for the most part, except for this one up here, just above the bearing cap, I guess. He was just a tad bit shorter than the others, but I don't think that's significant. Somebody might have just put in the wrong bolt. And then there's the one that has the bracket for the oil breather tube, and it's got the bolt head, there's a lock washer, the tab, then there's a spacer to get over the lip of the oil pan. And that's the only other special length one. Okay, I've got the oil pump out and starting to look at taking the pistons out. I bent up all the tangs on the connecting rod bolts here. See that? If they're serious about having it not come off, it's not a lock washer, it's those tangs. And so now I needed to make sure I knew how to put the rods and bearing caps rod caps back in correctly. And I found that they are labeled. So here on each flat there's a number starting at number 1 at the front of the engine, number 4 at the back, and they read correctly if you stand on the side of the engine with the starter. So, and there's a number on each half of the cap, which is probably no way going to be visible there, but